Hey guys, thank you so much for tuning in for another video. So in this video I wanted to give you an update to the 1000 gallon Moray Eel aquarium after I did this major redesign with all this PVC piping. So this video was very well received. I'm very surprised. It's my #1 watched video so far, and even bigger YouTube channels like the King of DIY watched and commented on this video. So I wanted to do an update on that video, let you know how this tank has been doing. And I also wanted to take this opportunity to talk about what you can do to successfully keep multiple Moray eels in the same aquarium. So I get this question a lot, and as you know, I have a Moray eel community tank with 6 Moray eels. So I put together a list of things that you can follow to hopefully help you keep multiple eels in your aquarium. All right, so I'm standing in front of the 1000 gallon Moray Eel aquarium, and I just put in some food. And if you've watched the video where I put in this PVC pipe system, you know how pristine this pipe system looked, but now it looks basically as if somebody had a really bad case of diarrhea and basically just took a huge dump onto this tank. But I knew this would happen, which is why last time I filmed an update right after I put in this pipe system, because I knew that the algae would eventually grow everywhere. But yeah, everything is going well. I mean, I just let nature do its thing, and you know, let everything grow fully, let everything be fully engulfed in algae, and basically the pipe system be blending in. Here we see a beautiful shot of both green morays, the tessellata and the gray bamboo shark, as well as the giant moray up there, all, you know, comfortably hanging out together. And yeah, so I wanted to take this opportunity to film a video about Moray eel aggression. What can you do to have multiple Moray eels, especially the bigger ones, live together peacefully, but also have other eels like zebra morays living with these types of eels, because I also have a zebra moray in here, and it's been going well. So I wanted to do a video, you know, to help folks who are interested in having multiple eels. You know, what can they do to increase their chances of success? There are a couple of things that you can keep in mind, so I'm going to run through a couple of those to help you with your Moray eel fish keeping. So I had to pause this video really quick to put in some more food, because I basically underestimated how hungry everyone was. And yeah, so the first thing I can tell you that will increase the chances of success is simply having a large aquarium. So this aquarium is 10 feet long, 4 feet front to back, and 4 feet tall. And this will provide, you know, ample space for multiple Moray eels to live together. But also depends on your aquascape. So obviously I put this together, this PVC pipe system, so that you know, there are multiple areas where eels can hang out. They don't have to be on top of each other all the time. And once you provide them the opportunity to have multiple hiding spaces for themselves, they will eventually become so comfortable that they are going to be hanging out together, even if they have all this other space available to them. So I constantly see, you know, both green morays, the tessellata and the giant moray, all hanging on this left side of the tank. And that is because they really like the waves of the wave maker. So they like to basically hang out and, you know, ride the waves, so to speak, get a kind of a massage. And the viper moray that is up there, he is always on this upper part of the pipe system, on the very right of the tank. And first I thought, you know, that the other eels may be scared of the viper moray, but that's just not the case. It's simply because of the wave maker. They do like the waves. So yeah, yeah, like I said, you know, having you know, a tank that is large enough for eels to have, you know, the opportunity to get away from one another if they want to, not being forced to be on top of each other all the time. So that will make a huge difference when it comes to the chance of success. This is the Caribbean green moray, and the one behind it is the Brazilian green moray. So, when I introduced the Caribbean green moray, there was some aggression from the Brazilian green moray, and simply because of me having a big tank like this, I was able to get this problem under control as long as I make sure everyone is fed, and everyone gets enough food. So, yeah, number one, try to have a big enough aquarium. People say the aquarium should be long enough that basically 1.5 times the length of the eel when it's fully grown. And so try to use that as a measuring guide. It's very important that eels can, fully stretch out. And some people have eels that are in tanks so small that they cannot even swim. They treat them like snakes that are always curled up. But the eels do like to swim, especially my giant moray. He's swimming around all the time, and it's really fun to watch. So he would not be an eel that's happy, just sitting somewhere in the cave all day long. The viper moray that I showed you earlier up there, he barely ever swims. So this is maybe an eel that could live in a tank much smaller than this one. And if there was ever a problem with him in the future getting bullied or being a bully, I could comfortably take him out of here and put him into a smaller tank. But yeah, tank size is very important. It also helps you with the nutrients control. You have a larger amount of water, so the water quality won't degrade as fast. So yeah, tank size very important. So next up will be adding in moray eel to a tank that already has an eel. So there are a few things I would keep in mind for that one. For one is you want to make sure that the eels are of similar size to one another. So I would not put, a large green moray into a tank with small banana eels, for example. Or I would not put, a tiny eel into a tank that is full with big moray eels. It's just going to be a little bit hard to, prevent any injuries for the new guys. So the bigger eels will definitely, make sure or let the new guys know who the boss of the tank is, where they can and cannot go. So similar size is important. So there are also people who say that, first of all, they say you should not have more than one eel. So eels are solitary animals. And I don't believe that is true. For one, I have an eel community tank here. As long as I keep everyone fed, there's no aggression. As long as I make sure the tank is big enough, that there are enough hiding spaces, there are no problems. And as you saw earlier, the eels, they like to hang out with one another. So if they didn't like that, the eels would be like evenly spread out. They would not be hanging out next to each other voluntarily. Only when it's feeding time, I guess. But no, they hang out with each other all the time. And they really enjoy that, actually. So, yeah, I cannot really confirm, that you should only have one eel and not more than one. So you can have more than one eel. Some people say once they reach a certain size, like let's say above 4 feet, that's when they start to become a little bit territorial and aggressive. And all of my eels, they are under 4 feet, so I will, I guess, find out in the future. But then again, I think it also has to do with tank size. So the bigger the tank, the better your chances of success. Then other people say that you should not mix multiple eels of the same type. So let's say multiple green morays. And as you can see here, I have 2, and I've seen zoo displays with multiple green morays, with multiple tessellata morays. So yeah, I think it's possible. Some folks say that you should not mix fish eaters with crustacean eaters. So these eels that I have here, they are all fang-toothed eels, meaning they have sharp teeth meant for catching fish, except for my zebra moray. The zebra moray is a crustacean eater. He does not have teeth. He is more like a mouth, more like a nutcracker to crack shells of crabs and stuff. And I have seen the zebra eel hang out with pretty much everyone else that I have in here. So no problems whatsoever. There are also other types of crustacean eaters like the white-eyed morays that are known to hang out with bigger eels in the wild. So yeah, it is possible to have multiple eels wanting to be hanging out together. And I would say if you pick the right species, you are definitely going to have a lot higher chances of success. In one of my previous videos where I basically was about to get ready to put this new pipe system in, you may remember that this tessellata here was getting nipped at by the gray bamboo shark. And I talked to you back then that when you have a bully and if another fish being bullied, there is maybe a chance that the bully himself is actually being bullied by a third animal, and basically which caused them to be stressed out and then take out their aggression on another fish. So in this case, this was absolutely true actually. So the sharks, they were actually being bullied by my sailfin tang. And tangs can sometimes be a problem with sharks because they will be nipping on the eyes of the sharks. And I've never actually seen this happen, but when I redesigned this tank and put in this pipe system here, and I took out the sailfin tang, and ever since that tang is out of this tank, the sharks and the gray bamboo shark is getting along with everyone, even the tessellata eel. And I've even seen the gray bamboo shark now hanging out with the tessellata eel in the very same pipe system. So he's actually going into the pipe system to hang out with the eel. So it's complete 180-degree turnaround when it comes to aggression between the gray bamboo shark and the tessellata and the other eels. So I'm really happy about that. So I wanted to bring that up in case you have two. It doesn't have to be eels even, just two fish that don't get along with one another. Try to figure out if the bully is actually bullied by a third fish, and try to work your way backwards in the chain of bullies, and then remove the first one in the chain, and you will probably have a domino effect where everyone else will start to relax, and you'll be able to keep fish together that you thought you would have to rehome. So I thought I would have to get rid of my beautiful gray bamboo shark, but then it turned out that the problem was the sailfin tang, and once he was gone, it was fine. So that's another tip for you. Another problem you could have that causes aggression between eels is the water quality. So obviously, anything that stresses out the eels will cause aggression, and then they will turn on one another if it's really bad. So, like I mentioned earlier, being bullied by some other fish cause them to be stressed out, low water quality, because once the quality of the water is so low that they are basically in survival mode, that's when it's going to get really bad. So I never let this happen in this tank. The reason why I have so much algae in here is I'm actually using tap water, and which I then condition with Seachem Safe, and that is perfectly fine for moray eels. They're not, these are not corals, so or any other sensitive organisms. I am switching to RDI water every now and then, but that's purely for cosmetic reasons, because I want to get this algae problem a little bit under control. But for the health of the fish, you can use tap water in this fowler tank, and you'll be fine. So that's another tip. Another thing that can help you with having multiple eels is what you see back there. So that is a cleaner shrimp, and I always have multiple cleaner shrimp. And what this does is it basically relaxes the eels when they get cleaned. So imagine an eel getting a pedicure. They're going to be so relaxed and so happy that they will be a lot calmer, and that will definitely decrease any aggression. One thing you would have to keep in mind though is that these cleaner shrimp, they set up a cleaning station, and then the eels would basically go to that station when they want to be cleaned. So as I mentioned earlier, when it comes to tank size, if you have a tank that is too small, then basically the cleaner shrimp will turn the entire tank into a cleaning station and will constantly be harassing the eels with cleaning requests. So it can backfire if the tank is too small. I also had some cleaner wrasses in here. I no longer have them because they only live to about 2 years. And those are a little bit more, finicky when it comes to keeping them with eels, because they swim, and follow the eels everywhere. So they don't set up a cleaning station. They just basically, follow the eels all around and everywhere. So that can stress out the eels too if it gets too bad. And in this tank, because I have 6 eels and I had 2 cleaner wrasses, it was never a problem that a particular eel would be targeted all the time. They would basically be taking turns among the eels. But this is another way you can reduce aggression if you have a large enough tank and you have cleaner wrasses that they will clean the eels, and they will enjoy that just as much as being cleaned by the cleaner shrimp. Another thing that I'm doing is when I feed the eels, I always feed until they are full. So I do not walk away from this tank with eels still being hungry. I make sure that there's more than enough food for every single eel, including the sharks, including the multiple blue spiny lobsters that I have here. I have 3 of those as part of my cleanup crew. So once I notice that fish or feeder fish are starting to pile up in the tank, or basically some of them not being touched, that's when I know that I can safely stop. But yeah, I do feed every 3 days because if I wait longer, it's not a problem with the eels, it's more a problem with the sharks. The sharks will then become so aggressive when food is in the tank that they will mow over the cleaner shrimp, the lobster, so it would be just a little bit dangerous to wait that long. But if I only had the eels in the tank, you could, if you only have eels in the tank, you can definitely feed maybe once a week and be fine. So just make sure that everyone gets enough food. And one thing to avoid is tossing food into the tank when they're super hungry. So if you really wait to feed the eels only once a week, if you have multiple eels, I would probably target feed. Basically use feeding tongs and feed every eel individually, because if I was to wait a week and then put in a bunch of food and everyone comes out and 2 eels try to go for the same food, you could have a tug of war that could possibly lead to very serious injuries. And so that's why, since I'm feeding every 3 days, it's fine for me to just toss in the food and everyone will grab it. Nobody's going to be starving, that they will be super aggressive. So everyone knows they will have their share of the food pie, so to speak. So that's why this has been working out really well. Another thing you can do to reduce stress and therefore reduce aggression between eels is to make sure that your lighting is not super intense, that you're not using any kind of strobe features like thunderstorms, or try to mimic nature completely. So when I obtained the Viper Moray, if you watch one of those Viper Moray videos, you know that I had a really hard time getting him to accept food. And one of the reasons was he was so stressed out because the aquarium store where I bought him from, called LAX Aquariums, they sometimes have a lot of festivals going on in their store, promotions, they're celebrating stuff. When they do that, they basically crank up the music really loud. They have a disco ball that displays all kinds of wild color patterns and strobing effects. And it's almost like a club at that point. And with the eels in these tiny holding tanks at a fish store with no real places to hide, that can really stress them out. So what I do here is I keep the light kind of moderate, and I also I don't clean the top of the acrylic tank all the time, which makes the tank a little bit darker. So because the algae is blocking the light a little bit. And so far this works really well, and the eels, they don't feel like they're constantly under the bright sun. So, and maybe the last tip, what you can do to avoid aggression is simply to move slow when you're around the eels. This tank is in my living room, so when I walk into the living room, the eels can already see me from far away. But let's say this tank was somewhere where it's in a corner, and you come out around the corner and you're suddenly in view. That could freak the eels out and make them be stressed out. So yeah, I'm always, you know, acting very slow around this tank, especially when I'm standing right in front of it. I don't make any sudden moves. I also don't try to domesticate these animals, so I don't try to make them become, you know, my little pets, like my little dogs or cats. So some people, they try to turn the eels into like little, you know, toys, and try to hand feed them or even accept food from the keeper's mouth. I've seen that too. So I never do anything like that. I respect them as, you know, wild animals. You know, I don't try to turn them into little toys. So I give them their space, you know, I treat them with respect, and you know, I always tongue feed, or I throw in the food, you know, into the tank if it's been only 3 days. And yeah, I never really try to pet them or do anything that could put me in danger or the animals in danger. So this may be beneficial in the long run too when it comes to reducing stress for the eels. So yeah, I believe this is everything I wanted to cover when it comes to aggression and the between moray eels and how you can successfully keep multiple eels together. So like I mentioned earlier, one, you know, unknown for me is still what happens when the eels become 4 feet or larger. So everyone is 3 feet or 3.5 feet, I would say. So this Caribbean green moray, he will probably be the first one to reach 4 feet. So simply because green morays, they grow faster than other species, and they're constantly eating. So he has yet to go on a hunger strike ever since I got him. So, and speaking of hunger strike, that can also be, you know, absolutely caused by stress. So if you have multiple eels and one or all of them are on a hunger strike, that is definitely can be stress related. When I redid this interior design, everyone was on a hunger strike, obviously, because it was such a drastic change. And even previously, when I changed to the flower pots, or when I took out all the sand and replaced it with this flat sheet material, you know, everyone had to come out, you know, and was introduced to a completely new design. And every time I did that, there would be going on a hunger strike. So the green morays, they are less sensitive to that. But yeah, if you experience hunger strikes on your eels, you know, that's definitely a sign of stress. And I would definitely try to figure out what the cause would be, you know, going through the list that I provided you with. But other than that, this is it for this video, and I will let you know if anything happens when it comes to the eels possibly not being happy living together anymore. I don't think this will happen anytime soon, simply because they have so much space for them, so many different hiding opportunities. I have yet to see any fighting ever since I changed to this design. So this really helped, especially with this new Caribbean green moray, my latest addition to this tank. Him and the Brazilian green moray and this tessellata, they were having some problems in the beginning, but now it's all settled and everyone just loves to hang out with one another. So yeah, this is it for this video, and let me know if you have any questions. Let me know if you think I should change anything with this pipe system to make it look nicer. I actually found a video of somebody building a fake reef, and they were actually using PVC as the skeleton, and then they were using some kind of cement type of material to build a coral reef out of this. And the reason why they used PVC is because they also had an eel in this tank, and I wanted to basically have a pipe system built into the reef. So I didn't know about that video or when I put this together, so that's why I didn't try. But this would also take a very long time, and I didn't want the eels to be in holding bins for too long. So but maybe this is something that I will look into in the future if this becomes, you know, too much of an eyesore. So we'll see. But other than that, thank you again for watching. Here's a last close-up of the tessellata and the Caribbean green moray. And yeah, thank you again for watching. Hope you like this video, and I see you in the next one.